Hi, I'm the plant propagator, and we're back, and I was able to have Tristan. I convinced him to sneak in and do a video with me. So Robert gave permission. So Tristan is an employee of Palmer Orchids. So we have permission, we're all good, and this guy knows a ton about orchids. When I come here, this is the guy that shows me everything, explains to me. He sees things in the flowers that I don't see and explains to me why this flower is better than that, and all other things. Also tells me a little bit about the background. And what we came across first is I was looking for a Nodosa, and he gave me these things. Well, this is the nicest one, but it's you know, it's not good for breeding. So, and those are some of the Brassavola and some of the Nodosas right here. So could you kind of pull these up and
let's so what we got here is one of our potted crop plants is these Brassavola Nodosas. As far as we know, they are probable triploids because one of the parents we believe was a tetraploid, one of them being supposed diploid. They're very likely triploid. They make excellent orchids for the homeowner. But if you're looking for breeding, it's probably going to be a little bit tricky to get some good genetics out of that.
Okay.
Due to the way some of the genome and stuff realigns. But they make excellent plants if you love Nodosa. They grow like a weed. They grow a lot more uniformly than normal Brassavola Nodosa.
Right. Okay.
Most species stuff only blooms once a year, but this crop blooms pretty much constantly for us.
Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to swivel around, because right over here, we're going to move around here just a little bit. And the other thing that I want to, so we have here just all these, incredible encyclias. And this is one of the things when I came through here, all of the encyclias that were here, and this is just some of them in a small amount, but they're in full bloom. And this is Cordigera, right?
This is Cordigera. I don't know.
Because I said Cordigera, and then Robert says Cordigera.
I go back and forth depending on the day.
Okay.
I don't know if there is a right or wrong. There probably is, and I'm probably wrong. But yeah, this is one of our specialty items. We've line bred a lot of Cordigera variety rosea. You can see a lot of these are kind of past their peak, but this is one of the things that we try and take pride in because, we've worked really hard on it over the years to get nice, dark flowers that smell good, they present well, they have good shape.
You mentioned smell, and so I'm getting a smell here. I wonder if it's this or that, or it could be anything.
As far as I know, it could be any of them. I used to not think that the Randii albas that are behind John here, I didn't think they were fragrant until a couple years ago when I started noticing standing near them that they were fragrant. But the Cordigera rosea is definitely the pinnacle of fragrance when it comes to your average Encyclia.
Okay.
See, here we have something. This is a new hybrid for us. This is a Lotta by Thalii, both of which are fragrant species. But you're welcome to smell them. I don't know if I've smelt anything from these. I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Just lightly.
So I guess, how about this? This is a different, I don't know if
this is
people can see this. I'm going to move it a little bit more.
A lot of people are probably aware of this now because this is something that we've worked really hard on. Is Randii alba.
Okay.
So this is the albinistic form.
And this is the same right here, right? So there's a little fragrance to it, but it's not.
It's not heavy like the Cordigera. It's light.
But it's a way different.
It's a floral smell, whereas this is more of a sweet rose kind of smell to it.
I mean, it's nice.
Yeah. There's very few of them that don't smell good. There are a few of them that smell bad.
Okay.
Most Encyclias smell good.
Okay. And one of the things I just got to say, one of the things that Tristan was showing me earlier today, and that I couldn't believe it, and I'm not sure how much I believe it. But there's a lot of, so they do a lot of crossing here, but then the bees come through here, and there's a lot of capsules that form. And then what happens on some of these are mounted, which you can see up here, and what happens on some of these, and he likes showing this to me, is that there's volunteers that are coming up all over the place. And I don't know if there's any on these guys, but apparently if the environment is right, they just pop up everywhere. So you buy something like this that seems to be all of one species or one type, and then you turn it around and there's another orchid coming out on it. So how that's pretty common to see?
Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. Life finds a way. Yeah, you know, sometimes we get a little bit lazy and we don't cut the old flower spikes off of our breeding plants, or just any of these plants that are hanging. And Mother Nature gets to work. The bees come in here. All they know is they like to visit the flowers, and they inadvertently end up pollinating some of this stuff. And it goes to seed if it doesn't get cut off by the staff here. Sometimes that seed falls and it lands on some of these mounts. And we get some volunteers that are really interesting. I mean, but it makes sense, you know, a lot of this is freshwater red cedar, 90% of it is, or tree fern. And the red cedar, you know, is a native host to the butterfly orchid, the Tampensis, and some other native epiphytic orchids we have in Florida. So, I mean, it kind of makes sense that whichever fungus it is that they're using is occurring in some capacity on our mounted plants. That is, if we don't spray them with fungicide.
Right. Okay. And just so you know, so Tristan he's a home flasker, and so he was telling me, he showed me some volunteer orchids out back that are growing that
are spectacular.
So the plants are growing better than they do in Flask. I can get these things to grow really quickly in Flask, but compared to the ones that he showed me outside, which is just remarkable. So if you have capsules on your plants and you don't want to do Flask and you don't want to do things, it is reasonable to expect that if you sprinkle the seeds, or if they find their way into the right environment, I mean, that's how they grow naturally.
Yeah, depending on what it is, if you play around and you kind of get an idea of where a good suitable location for orchid germination would be, you can have good luck doing that. I've done that at my house.
Okay.
And John's grows excellent plants that grow really fast in the Flask. But I was telling him that some of these volunteer plants will just make your head spin with how fast they come up naturally. And I mean, within a year's time, it almost is like you have a blooming sized plant that nobody planted, it just showed up.
It is spectacular. It's pretty special. Okay, so I don't know, is there we want to look around a little bit more, and I noticed the traffic is down, and you close it too, right?
Well, we'll be here for a little while.
They close it too, and it is 1:59, so that's why it's kind of wound down a little bit here. All the buying and all the activity was early this morning. So what we might do is I might get behind the camera and just take a look at a few more of Tristan's special plants if you can find them, and we'll go from there. Okay, so I'm going to get behind the camera and we'll do a little bit more. Okay, and we're back. So we've got just a few plants to show you, and we'll see how this goes. So you have there, that's another Encyclia, and that's what kind?
This is your favorite one that you love to grow. This is the Tampa butterfly orchid, Encyclia Tampensis. This just happens to be not only the albinistic version, but also a tetraploid.
Wow,
it's
okay.
Tetraploid breeding, so we're expecting that the plants are tetraploid. And it's alba. So, you know, the butterfly orchid grows well here in Florida. This one grows just as well, maybe a little bit slower, maybe a fewer flowers than the normal variety, but it's a great addition to anybody who loves Florida natives or Florida natives with a twist.
All right, so is that from seed, or is that a clone, or what
is? This is a seedling. This is 4N by self, so it was a self-pollinated tetraploid alba.
And all of the albas, all of this Encyclia alba, if you self it, they'll all be alba or not?
Yes and no. So sometimes I believe selfing would almost ensure albinistic progeny.
Yeah.
If you take sibling albas, sometimes you can get some genome recombination, and you can have some seedlings that revert back to the typical color forms.
Okay. All right. Let's move on. You said we've got why not right here.
So this is a favorite of most orchid growers. Most people have the red version. We have the red, and we also have the yellow. Both of these are great orchids to have if you're new to orchids. They're not too fussy. They bloom multiple times a year. We grow a lot of it, as you can see here by this bench and some of the benches that are up there. And we grow so much of it because it's an excellent plant.
Okay. All right, and the same thing with this. So this is yellow, and does it breed true on, or just it's?
There have been a lot of why not hybrids have been made with the yellow. I have tried a few myself, and so far I've not gotten too much to come to fruition, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible. It just may mean that I didn't try the right thing.
All right, sounds good. And then we're going to move down here a little bit more, and what do we have here?
So here we have Cattleya eros. This is a primary hybrid between Walkeriana and Cattleya mossiae.
Okay.
This was used with cerulean versions of both parents. This is a new crop for us. It just started blooming last year, so I believe we're on our second year now.
Okay.
And first year was a little, touch and go. We only had a few flowers, but second blooming, definitely an improvement over the first year blooming. And it grows a lot better than either parent. So,
fragrance on it then? Or? Okay.
Very typical mossiae kind of smell, not a Walkeriana smell.
Okay.
But this has grown very well. Both parents are a little tricky, but this hybrid has done quite nicely.
Okay. And I'm sorry, we didn't talk about doing this, but I got to see what's below. I got no idea what that is.
So everyone knows the Bradenton sanguinea, or at least a lot of people know what Bradenton sanguinea from Jamaica is. The blood red Bradentonia. This happens to be the Star Splash Aria hybrid. The progeny have all come out white with flares and different amounts of pink in the petals. It grows a lot quicker than the normal typical sanguinea, the wild type, the red.
Yeah.
We love it because it's got a lot of flowers for months on end during the summer, and if you keep it dry during the winter, it's easy growing.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we're good. I'm making Tristan work after hours because it's way past quitting time today.
Sure,
I want to.
Cool
Do you want to show us some of the stuff? Okay. So we're gonna take a quick shut off and break, and we're gonna come back to what Tristan says is the cool stuff. Okay, and we are back with Tristan. So he wanted to show us some cool stuff. So by golly, that's what we're gonna do. So the first thing that he wanted to show us, and I actually picked one of these up. I didn't buy that many plants here because I got so many last time, but it's a Cattleya Peckaviensis. Okay, and so he wants to show you this. It really is special. So I looked around, and of all the Cattleyas that were here, this one caught my eye, and it just so happened that this is one that Tristan wanted to show me. So I think we're on the same page here. It's a really special plant. So explain a little bit about this plant and the background on this guy.
This is one I particularly love, and I think here at the nursery we've really grown it pretty fond of. It's Peckaviensis. This is a primary hybrid between Cattleya schilleriana and Cattleya eclandii.
Okay.
It's a nice bifoliate Cattleya. Both parents are bifoliate, so the progeny is all going to be bifoliate, but far easier and faster growing than either parent would be. Bifoliates are notoriously finicky if they're not in the right conditions. But this has been a very good crop for us.
Yeah.
We have a whole bench of them over there, and I think John picked out one of the best ones.
That's where I did. I spent a lot of time back there. It's on the left side of this aisle, and you could see. I got to focus in on the sign. See the signs here. So it's that sign. It's that sign, and it may even go back. So there's a lot to pick from, and they're nice small plants, so I was pretty happy with that.
I can do something for you to make it life a little easier. I can zoom in on the tag so you don't have to add it in later.
Okay, there we go. All right, thank you. All right, so the parents of this guy, one more time, are
Cattleya schilleriana, which I have an example of right here.
Okay.
This is just your average Cattleya schilleriana, and then the other parent is Cattleya eclandii. Both are South American bifoliate Cattleya species that hail from very hot, dry climates. And Cattleya eclandii is one of those ones that makes really nice, dark, fragrant flowers. Stop. You can zoom in on that.
Okay. And I did, and this I did. I think I smelled before I made the purchase. I smelled the seedlings that you have, I think they're fragrant, which you would expect because both the parents are so fragrant, right?
Both parents have very similar fragrances, and all of the progeny so far have been very fragrant.
Okay. And again, I'm excited because of the plant is kind of a low statured, low growing, nice big flower, so it really did catch my eye.
Yeah, so it doesn't get very tall. And here's another one that we've bred with. This is a species, not a hybrid. This is Cattleya Forbesii. This is the yellow form. It comes in a brown or pink kind of form. We particularly were going after yellow flowered version this time.
Okay, but this is not an alba, right?
This is not an alba. This just happens to be a lighter colored version.
Okay, but I understand that there were efforts to try to get an alba, and that's the closest that people were able to get.
I think that may have been one of the goals. I think maybe just a nicer Forbesii that's got nicer segments, fuller petals, and with lighter colors. That's probably what we were going for, if I'm not mistaken. But so far, all of this new crop have come out yellow. But that doesn't mean that the brown forms any less.
But the other thing is, so I want you to explain so when you look at that flower, there's other ones that are out there, and the one that I have, and you look for a nice for showing, and for me, you look for a flat flower, right?
So if you're looking for award quality plants or plants to breed with, what we tend to look for is a flat flower. And so here you can see this isn't a bad flower by any means, but this one has a little bit more cupping to it. The petals don't pull back to 180 degrees.
Okay.
That's a lot to ask for Forbesii, but you can see the one that I was showing you at the beginning here is a little bit nicer segment. It stands open a little bit nicer.
Right.
The lip presents a little bit better, and the colors are very contrasting. So that tends to be what we're aiming for when we do our breeding. We don't usually just pick any run-of-the-mill flower. We try and pick one that are going to make the bigger and better next generation.
Right. Okay. All right. I got to keep that in mind. I'm not quite that thinking that far ahead when I do stuff. Okay, and then you said you also had a den that you wanted to. Okay, so
it happens to be blooming, and it's one of our favorites here at the nursery. So here we have Dendrobium, white grace, clonal name Sato. I believe that's how you say it. This is a small. It's not a seedling; it's a clone. But a small plantlet. These get to be very, very large plants. That can bloom quite often with very, very spectacular inflorescences, just full of flowers. So this is just a little bit of a show of what's to come when this plant gets bigger. I own one personally, but I love this plant.
Okay, and I got to look at the canes on this are pretty, it's pretty nice. All right, so there's close up of the tag. But also, it's a small plant, but those are pretty substantial canes. And I don't know if that's something that's indicative of this plant or whether it's just because your growing conditions, all your dens are massive like that.
I believe this is it's a speciosum hybrid.
Okay.
Dendrobium speciosum being one of the Australian large dendrobiums. And if you want, we can go look at a very large specimen size.
Oh man, I'll be here all day. It's, oh my gosh. Okay. All right. No, they do get, that is a pretty nice, but all the plants here are just spectacular. And part of it is because of Tristan's care, and he's learning from Robert, who he told me earlier that Robert knows more than anyone about orchid fertilizers and how to make these things grow, and I definitely believe him.
Well, we like to think we're the best, but I think everybody probably thinks
you're pretty darn good. I would call you the best, certainly today. All right, so I want to thank Tristan for spending the time with me today and showing me some of the orchids here at Palmer Orchids and sharing some of his expertise. If you like my video and you want to keep on seeing my videos, it would help me out if you could click on like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you're not already a subscriber. And I should say Tristan has been an incredible help to me. I've mentioned him previously in a lot of my videos, and it's great to be back and chat some more. So thanks.
I love orchids, and I love to show people orchids.
All right, we appreciate. Oh, and come to Palmer. Just ask to see Tristan at Palmer Orchids, and I've seen him help so many people today. That's how it is. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope you enjoyed my video, and happy propagating.